It's math time with Heinz. It's math time with Heinz. Math time.
All right, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about putting it all together here in lesson 5. So with our polynomials, we've learned how to add them, how to subtract them, and how to multiply them. Unfortunately, we don't divide. We save that for Algebra 2. That's actually how we start Algebra 2, is back with polynomials, dividing them. But like when you learn numbers, you first started learning how to add, how to subtract, and how to multiply, and then you put all those operations together. And we're going to do that exact same thing with our polynomials today. How do these operations interact with each other is what we're going to look at. But to get us started, let's subtract x squared plus 3x minus 5 from 3 minus 5x minus 2x squared. So hopefully you're remembering, wait a minute, if I want to subtract 20 from 100, I'm really doing 100 minus 20. I'm really starting with this second term here, second polynomial, and I'm subtracting away x squared plus 3x minus 5, right? If I have smiley face from chicken nugget, I'm really doing chicken nugget minus the smiley face. We start with this second guy and subtract away the first polynomial. People get happy when they start seeing all these parentheses and making tables. You have to remember, we only make tables when we're multiplying. When we multiply, that's when I make a box. Here I am subtracting. So I'm simply going to take that -1, that factor of -1, and distribute it through. We don't need the parentheses anymore because I've done the distribution. Okay, so again, we only make tables when we're multiplying. Here I'm doing a subtraction problem, no table required. And now I need to combine like terms. -3x squared, -8x plus 8. That's my difference, that's the difference here in standard form. All right, so what we're going to be encountering today is what happens when I have multiple operations happening together. What if I have multiplication and an exponent? And I also have subtraction. We've got to follow our order of operations and expand, and we got to follow our order of operations is, I guess, the key thing here. So the first thing we have to realize is the grouping. How is it grouped? So polynomials are grouped between operations, between adding or subtracting. So this is one group. Minus is telling me start a new group. This thing. So what my game plan is here is, let's start with this green piece. Let's start with our exponents. If I follow my order of operations, I cannot distribute that 3 in because exponentiation and exponent comes before multiplying. So really, within this green box, I'm starting here. I'm going to square x plus 4 and then multiply it by 3. Well, we learned how to square polynomials. We make a table. We literally make a square. X squared, 4x, and 16. So I squared that polynomial, and I'm going to still keep that 3 out front. Minus 3 times x plus 1. So again, I started with my exponent. I started by squaring before I applied my distributive property. Because when I apply the distributive property, that's really multiplying. That's really the multiplication operation. Times 3 times 3 times 3. Now I'm going to distribute a -3 here. -3x minus 3. And again, I don't need parentheses anymore since I've done that distribution. Thank you. Awesome. Can't wait. So all I have to do now is combine my like terms together. I don't have any other squareds. 24 minus 3 is 21. 48 minus 3 is 45. So there's my trinomial in standard form. So you got to take a step back and realize the structure of these expressions and follow your order of operations. Number 2, state the degree and leading coefficient of this polynomial expression. Well, to know the degree and leading coefficient, I need to be in standard form. This thing here is not in standard form, so let's come up with a game plan to get it into standard form. So following, I don't see any exponents. I do see multiplication. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I do see more multiplication here. That's the second thing I'm going to do. And then finally, I'm going to subtract those two products. So I'm going to find a product, and then subtract away those two expressions from each other. So let's do step 1 here. Let's find this product. I have a binomial times another binomial. That's step 1. 2 times 3, x times x, negative 3 times 3, 2 times 5, 5 times negative 3. I lost an x there, my fault. Negative 9x. So these two binomials multiply to 6x squared plus 1x minus 15. Minus whatever I get from the purple over here. So I have a binomial times a trinomial. I like putting the longer term expression on the top, but you don't have to. You could have it going the other way here. 2x cubed, everybody's getting multiplied by a factor of x. Everybody's upgrading a level in terms of how many x's they have. And times 1 is really straightforward. When I distribute through a factor of 1, I just rewrite the polynomial again. So what am I subtracting away? 2x to the third, negative 4x squared, negative 3x, and positive 3. Now we can finally get to that third step there of subtraction. So I'm going to distribute through my factor of negative 1, minus 2x cubed, plus 4x squared, plus 3x minus 3. I'm going to distribute through that factor of negative 1 there, and then go from here. Negative 2x cubed, 10x squared, 4x, minus 18. So now I've written the polynomial in standard form, I can now think about the degree and the leading coefficient. Well, the degree we learned was the highest power, so this is a third degree polynomial. It has a degree of 3. And since it's in standard form, the leading coefficient here is negative 2. And that's that. So again, you need a game plan. You need to realize your order of operations and know that adding and subtracting act as kind of grouping symbols for, okay, here's a group that I've got to clean up. Here's a group I've got to clean up. The sum, you got to know what the word sum means. Sum means add them together. So I'm adding together that polynomial and that polynomial. That sum, let's find that sum first. Let's start there. Again, don't need a table here because I'm adding. If that said product, I'd be making a box. But here I'm just going to add my like terms. 8x squared. Don't touch the exponents because I'm adding. This sum is multiplied by 1/4 x to the third. What is that result? So now I have to distribute through this factor of 1/4 x to the third. 1/4 of 8 is 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 x's there. 2 are already sitting there and 3 more are coming in, so x to the 5th. 11 divided by 4 is going to be 11/4. X to the, I have 3 and 1 more, x to the 4th. Minus 14 over 4, x to the 3rd. There's my polynomial. So again, sometimes you have to take a step back and read what it's telling you to do. The sum, so I found the sum, is multiplied by. So I found the sum and then I multiplied it by that factor, that term of 1/4 x to the third. And we'll stand here with number 4. Write m of x as a trinomial. So I have 3x minus 1 times 3x plus minus x plus, so here's a group. Okay, those guys are just getting added on. So my game plan here is make a box, add those guys on. So let's start with that. Let's make our box. 3x minus 1 times 3 minus x. It's a little weird that x isn't up here, but that's okay. Sometimes things are out of order. -3, right? Multiplying. Some people end up subtracting. 3 times -1 is -3x squared. Negative times a negative is a positive. So what's really sitting here is -3x squared plus 10x's minus 3. That's what's sitting here. Plus, I have that 4x squared plus 19. So really, what does m of x equal, right? That's what I'm working with here. 1x squared plus 10x plus 16. Did I write it as a trinomial? Yes, there are 3 terms here. So again, this is going to take practice of putting all these operations together, and that's what we're going to work on this week, is making sure we're good with adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials.